What's going on, y'all? This is Tillman Givens III. I have a very special guest with us today. I'm super excited to interview him. Another business spotlight. And it's something that a lot of businesses bring up because a lot of businesses are struggling with their finances. A lot of businesses, with the way the economy goes, are looking for different lines of credit. They're looking for ways to utilize OPM, aka other people's money, in order to build their business, build their dream, build something that they can sustain and leave to their children. And now I have the perfect person to talk about that. But before we even get into that, Tavon, I just want to get a little bit about, tell the people a little bit about who you are and how you got started into this.
Oh, man, thank you so much for that introduction, bro. So to give you a little bit more backstory about myself and how I got into this, you and I have known each other, over several years. I've been on the internet, trying to find my way, trying to, I've launched different businesses over time. I've had multiple different ventures that I've pretty much gotten into and tried to build. Some businesses have failed, others have made a little bit of money, not a whole lot, but um to kind of fast forward how I got here was, through my journey of building businesses, I've always found myself having this conversation with my business partners about if I just had this much amount of money, we could put money in ads and just like launch this thing, right? Like it's always been, money has always been something that has kept me back from being able to reach the heights of the success that I feel like I could reach in my business.
Mm-hmm.
And then, fast forward to probably what was it like October of 2024, I was introduced to it was a free mentorship that I was introduced to by this guy Greg Parker on Instagram. He's from Philly. He's a real estate investor and developer. He does a lot of work in Philly. Big ups to Greg for putting that opportunity out there for people. But I attended his courses and he brought on multiple different entrepreneurs that were in the real estate industry and also in the finance industry, the credit repair industries, and came on and they gave us pretty much like PowerPoint presentations about what they did, right? And then, there was one guy that came on there who talked about credit card stacking. And that just blew my mind. Like just the way that they were able to utilize your personal credit score without any proof of income for business and go out and get 50K, 100K, $250,000 worth of credit at 0% interest that they could use for 12 to 24 months and sometimes even longer if you know how to finesse it correctly, right?
Uh-huh.
Like that blew my mind, and at that time I was sitting there with like a 400, 500 credit score, right? Sitting here watching this and just like, dog, I got to get my stuff together, man. Like, I really just got to figure this out, And so from that point, once after I got off of that webinar, that session, I just took all the time that I had and just dug into credit repair, dug into consumer law, and learned how to dispute my own credit profiles on my accounts, that my negative accounts that were on my profile. I was able to get those deleted, and I was able to clean up my profile to the point where I was able to establish now $20,000 of personal credit that I'm able to utilize and leverage and put into my business, right? But this is something that I didn't even know existed right now. Granted, this is just my personal credit. What I advertise is utilizing business credit, right? Like I'm still getting started, so I'm not going to sit up here in front like I have like all of this business credit. I'm still building my personal profile out so that I can go and grab that 100K, 200K. But I'm positioning myself now. You get what I'm saying? I have the plan now. I know exactly what to do to put myself in position, but it just takes time and seasoning and maturing in order for me to get approved for those amounts. And we'll talk about that later as we get into more details about, how the credit stacking works and, all of those things. But that's what got me started. Just that opportunity, that information to know that this was possible to touch that much amount of money without having any proof of income. That was insane to me, right? I'm like, yo, this is it. This is it right here. And so from that point, I pretty much, I kept learning, but then I was introduced to another program that I invested into as a mentorship program that allowed me to not only have access to the ability to be able to offer people credit card stacking services, but now I can offer people other types of alternative credits, alternative financing opportunities between interest only business lines of credit, equipment financing, brick and mortar financing that when once we talk about this is people are not going to believe what's available. So this is what got me here. Like just that opportunity, that ability to be able to take people from where I was, just feeling like there was no opportunity. Like it was just like, yo, I just got to keep trying to use my money to make my business work. And I'm sitting here watching all of these people, like they got new trucks with like wrap vans, and like, how are people getting in touch, like getting connected to this kind of money when they're just getting started? Right? But it was a secret. It was a secret that they weren't telling us about using your personal credit to get access to that business credit. Right? So once I got that information, it automatically felt like it was my duty
Mm,
to help my people get connected to this information. Because the people that came on camera that Greg brought on, they look like me and you.
mm-hmm.
And me and you, the average person that looks like me and you doesn't know that opportunities like this exist.
Facts.
And so this is what was like, you know what? I have been struggling for the longest time to really find a product and service that I really connect with emotionally and something that I can really be proud of, that I feel like I can go and talk to people like I actually have a resource for them. Like I have an answer to their problems. And this is a big problem for a lot of people, and
Mm-hmm.
so this is how I got here, man. And this is something that I'm really excited about. I'm really happy to be in position to help my people. That is really really what it's about, man. So
I
yeah,
love
so
that.
that's it.
I love that. And you know what? It's like something that you took. There's two things that you said I really want to touch on. One is that I love the fact that you said you're the type of person that heard this information and took action on it. I've coached over 150 businesses at this point. I think I'm well over 200. I don't even know. I think my wife, she probably has a better count than me, but it's over 200 businesses. A lot of people, they will hear information and not take action on it. So if you're listening to this podcast right now, we're going to talk about a way that you can get connected with Tavon so that you can see what your options are. You know what I mean? Life is all about options. I don't know about you, but it's better to have them and not need it and not have it. You know, my dad used to say that all the time. So the second thing that you said I really want to touch on is some people know a little bit about the equipment financing, but a lot of people who are trying to start brick and mortar businesses, whether it's be post COVID, they're trying to make a comeback. I know some business owners that they failed during 2022 or they had a bad experience in 2020 and now they're trying to make this comeback, right? They're trying to have a barbershop. They want to have a salon. They want to have a home remodeling company. Like, what do you have to say to those people that are just getting started? They want to have a brick and mortar business. What are some of the options that people just don't know about that is like a known kept secret that if they just knew, they might have just a little glimmer of hope?
Right. So great question, man. So for a startup, for true pre-revenue businesses, I have two options for you. Okay. Now, for true startups, we have our 0% program, right? Which a lot of people may be familiar with now. It's become a lot more popular, which is 0% business credit card stacking, where we're able to leverage your personal credit profile and go and access 50K to 100K to $250,000, sometimes more, depending on what your personal credit profile looks like. So to break that down a little bit more. So if you're somebody who has had a car, right, and you've paid your car on time for 2 years or more, you have a credit card, a couple personal credit cards, maybe like 20K limits, right? Because they're not we're talking about business and we're talking about lending money, right? So at the end of the day, the banks still have to make a good decision in reference to like who they can trust with this kind of money, right? So you have to have shown some history of positive payments with some type of money, right? So like if you're somebody who has a credit card with like a $500 limit, you're going to have to work to get those limits increased, and manage those limits over time before the banks are actually going to be willing to give you like 25K, 50K, 75K, right? But if you're somebody who already has, 10K, 20K, then you can go to the bank and you can get a credit card for like 50K, okay, or a couple credit cards, 125K credit card from one bank, another 20K credit card from another bank, right? So those
What's the
options.
most you've ever seen somebody get?
So the most that I've seen somebody get within my company, specifically the guys that I work with, 180K so far. In reference to the profiles that we've worked with, we've been able to get somebody a max of 180K at 0% interest, business credit cards. And this is basically free money that you're able to use for 12 to 24 months, and then you can also write off your business expenses for getting that service done. You can write those expenses off with your taxes too. Okay. And then the other beautiful thing about this is once you get those business credit cards, you're positioning yourself for more business funding in the future. Okay, because as you continue to manage those limits, you're simultaneously building your business credit profile at the same time. So there's people who are like, yo, I just want to build my business credit profile. They're struggling with getting net 30 cards and net 60 cards for their business, but you can actually qualify for a 0% business credit card and start building your credit profile there.
Mm-hmm. And then the crazy thing is like I just can't let you gloss over this real quick because I need to like let these people understand what you just said because like you said a lot of people don't know this information, but for somebody that is about to start a business coming here, even let's say 50K 70K, $80,000 that they now have access to, they go and get things that they already need for their business: printer paper, ink, pens, marketing material, website, business cards, banners, this, that, the third. At the end of that fiscal year, they can write off the purchases that they got with somebody else's money.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, get access to the credit card points that you earn from having a 0% interest
Ooh,
card,
they didn't even talk about that, about the points.
and
No.
they got 0% interest. So you pretty much like it don't even make sense for you to use your personal money at this point because you getting double the points. Everybody gonna need gas. So you gotta at least at the bare minimum go get gas. If I'm getting gas and I'm paying the same $30, if I pay $30 at the gas tank and I get points for those $30, I get points on the credit card. I get 0% interest. So it costs me the same amount of money that I'm using if I use my general debit card, and I'm building my business credit on top of that, and it's a write off for me. Like, where is the loss, bruh? You know what I'm saying? And this is the information that people like the Rockefellers, Sam Walton and his family, Dale Carnegie and his family, the people that own the world, they've been using this for years. Wells from Wells Fargo, Mr. Fargo from Wells Fargo, these the type of information that they pass around in these circles, y'all. That's what he's
Mhm.
trying to tell y'all. You see what I'm saying? But go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted them to understand the full picture of what's really being offered to them right now.
I mean, that's a very great point, man. Because I mean, honestly, this information is not new. It's not new, and that's the crazy thing about it, right? Because like I go to these real estate meetings and I talk to these investors, and all of them got business credit cards. Like that's just their thing. Like
They're like, you want a sandwich? You want some lunch? It's
right?
not me.
They're very familiar with the process and the concept, of using business credit cards to handle real estate processes, even as something as simple as a down payment. You know, or
Right.
gap funding, right? Like you waiting for a loan to come through, but you need to handle a repair in order to get something done. You need to pay off your contractors or anything like that. You now have this liquidity in your back pocket to be able to take care of those expenses, and it's not going to cost you 20 to 30% interest, in order to make that happen, right? So that's the beautiful part about that. But then I also have what's called personal loan stacking as well. Okay, and so that's going to benefit those people who are either 1099 or W-2 workers who are looking to get started or looking to start a business, but maybe they don't want a credit card, right? They just want cash. So I have lenders who will do multiple personal loans that you can get as long as you're making a minimum of 40K a year. Okay, right, right. Okay,
Hold on.
40K
Let me
a year.
break that down for the people real quick. Let me break it down for you people. because that way I want y'all to understand what my man Tavon is over here saying, bruh. So that's 33, that's $3,333.33 per month. We're going to divide that by four. So that's $833 in a week. We're going to divide that by 40 because it's 40 hours in a week. So that's roughly like $20 an hour. If you're making $19, $20 an hour, excluding any bonuses, holiday bonuses, Christmas bonuses, anything like that, if your W-2 is 40,000 at the end of the year, you may qualify for what he's talking about. So go ahead and continue. I just wanted to give it to him in layman's terms.
So they really understand. And the minimum credit score for personal credit loan stacking is a 660. So, typically, especially with our business credit card stacking, you need at least a minimum of 700 in order for to even be considered for business credit card stacking. We really like you to have a 720, because that's generally going to place you in a better spot, right? Like we know for sure you're probably going to have a better profile if you have a 720. But with personal loan stacking, you can come in with a 660 and still get funded. So those opportunities are out there. So yes, you still have to have a pretty decent, credit profile in order to get funded. But come on, like we're doing business here. We got to pay our bills on time. We got to handle business professionally, and we got to take care of business. So I'm not sitting here saying there's going to be like opportunities for people that are like just doing whatever. We have to be
Yeah.
adults about it. We have to be professional about it and be realistic about it. But there are options out there.
And then I just want to touch on real quick because a lot of people out there, myself included, I'm not disincluded from that. So I don't want to make people feel like they're isolated or on an island, but myself included, is that when you first start a business and you're brand new and you still got your dream eyes on and your rosy eyes on, and there's nothing that could go any wrong, and you didn't watch a bunch of Disney movies with your kids where everything works out perfectly peachy and fine and rainbowy. Let me tell you something about business, bro. There's always things that go wrong.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
kind of like trying to get your kids ready for getting out the door. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll be like, all right, we're gonna be there by 10. You wake up early, you get all the kids ready, you about to go outside and leave, and then one of them like pukes all over you, and you're like, what? And you're gonna get to the dentist appointment later or whatever it is. But sometimes there's hiccups in business, sometimes there's things that happen in business that are unexpected. Sometimes there's things in life that happen that are unexpected.
True.
You know what I mean? So having that, like, how do you think that cash flow, having that access to that level of credit, 50, 60, 70, $80,000 from a bank could be able to help somebody that's a new business in a time of crisis?
Well, I mean, if it's kind of it's kind of self-explanatory, but I mean, if you got 80K, in the pocket, and it like everything like unimaginable, what do they say? Anything that could happen will
Will
happen,
happen. Yeah.
right? So if you're in one of those types of situations where anything that could happen did happen, you got 80K that you're sitting on, that can save you, in that event, right? Like that can take care of those that bursted pipe that you weren't expecting, right?
Mhm.
Or that leak that you weren't expecting, that roof leak, that you weren't expecting, or that piece of equipment that cancels out on you, at the last minute, and you're about to have a grand opening or something in the next week or so, and you're like, what am I going to do, right? But you have
Mhm.
this $80,000 that's sitting here, this essential like a syndicated line of credit, if you will, right? That you can use to back you up to go buy a new piece of equipment and be ready for opening day.
I love that. We didn't even get to touch on the equipment financing. Like, what does that option look like for people that need equipment?
But yeah, man. So I have a nice equipment financing plug. We can get you between 10K to 3 million with terms up to 10 years, and we can get you up to 100% loan approval. And you need a minimum 570.
575. So something
Yep,
that's achievable.
yep, yep.
Okay.
Something totally achievable. 6 months in business with minimum 10K revenue.
I actually have a client who does like home remodeling type work. And he told me this story one time about how they were trying to do this job, and he went to the job site, and they were there like 8 o'clock in the morning. They were already up against the timeline, and the thing that the guy, was it the guy that was supposed to deliver it? It don't matter. Anyway, he wasn't able to have the equipment available to him for him to do the job at 8 a.m. in the morning. I'll put it to you like that. So he had to go out and get some new equipment But situations like that is where this would be perfect for that type of person because guess what? They can get it at 0% interest. Let's say they get 50,000, the machine costs 10,000, they get the 10,000 on the credit card, they go and complete the job. The job is done in a month. They do that. And then after those 4 weeks, they take that money. I think that was like a easily $1,000 job. So he could take 10 of that and pay it all back, or he could pay it back over increments, just depending on how he has to pay his employee, his staff, the way his P&Ls look, so forth and so on. I mean, I wasn't inside of his QuickBooks, but I just know how much the job was worth based on what he told me. So is there anything else as far as like options go that entrepreneurs that you feel like should be aware of that you feel like if entrepreneurs knew about it, they could at least keep their doors open a little bit longer, stay in the fight a little bit longer, and have a little bit more.
So depending on what kind of business it is, because I have brick and mortar financing that can help keep the doors open for businesses like that have been in business for a minimum 1 month and they're making at least 17K a month and have a 551 FICO score. Okay, so businesses that land in those parameters, I can help them, right? Like I can help them get connected to funding, to keep the doors open. And I have some really great connections for that. They can get some nice limits depending on how long they've been in business because they typically work with, like if the longer you've been in business, it's like $100,000 more that they're willing to give you each year. Like, yeah, like it's crazy, and they'll give you anywhere from 6 to 33% of your annual revenue, and you don't get that from most banks. Okay, so they are a premier partner that I work with for those brick and mortar businesses that do fit within their industry requirements, like because they have a list of specific businesses that they work with, but it's a large number. Okay, it's a large list, but they have a very high appetite for risk. So the way that they look at lending is very different. I worked with a restaurant, and now unfortunately I wasn't able to get him funded, but
Explain to them like what an NSF is for those that don't know. Mhm.
on your if that shows on your transactions in your bank accounts, most banks will deny you straight off the top, right?
Mhm.
But these lenders, I mean, he had like 6 or 7, 8. Like as long as you have less than 15 NSFs with this company, they will still find a way to fund your business. Okay,
Wow.
so right. So this is what I'm saying. Like these are different types of people out here. These are different types of lenders out here, man. But the options are available. And so I would say, if you're got a restaurant, a barbershop, a hair salon, a medical spa, a nail salon, my lenders can help you. They can help you keep the doors open. And then the interest only lines of credit, I think we kind of touched on that a little bit, but
Mhm.
the interest only lines of credit that I have available now, you do need to be making between my lenders. The requirements kind of vary because I do have a lender that will do a minimum of 10K a month. If you're making a minimum of 10K a month, they can fund you with 6 months in business for a business line of credit. Okay,
Mhm.
you have to have, I think, at least a 660 credit score to qualify, but you can get a line of credit with them. It's not going to be that big. It's probably going to be like 10K, but it'll be a line of credit, right?
Right.
And it'll be an interest only line of credit where you only pay interest on the actual amount of money that you're taking out from that line of credit. Okay, but for better rates, bigger amounts, I have a lender that's minimum 12K a month, minimum 550 credit score, and at least 12 months in business. Okay, and we can get you an interest only line of credit up to $1 million. Okay, some of my lenders they even go up to 5 million. And then I also have real estate financing as well, cannabis financing as well. So a lot of people don't want to touch that. But we have
Mhm.
cannabis financing as well for equipment and for real estate purchases. We have a lot of options for people to make some things happen.
I love it, man. I think that this is like a big piece, like you said, that a lot of the wealthy people already knew about. A lot of this information is already being passed down in some of the wealthiest circles that are known to man. They have a lot of other strategies as well, but this is definitely one that is used. You know what I mean? And to a degree, the banks are using it themselves because they taking your money and they going and invest it into the stock market, making
Exactly.
money off of it. And then because of the fractional reserve, they only have to keep a certain amount, a fraction of what is really there in order to keep inside the bank. So all that being said, man, where can people find you? You know, if they're hearing this and they're saying, you know what, Tavon, like I really need to tap in with you, see what my options are. My thing is, it don't hurt to look. You know, this could be some people say when one door closed, another one opens. This could be the door that's opened up for you, but you will never know that if you don't knock.
Facts. And one
So,
thing
how could people find you? And, well, go ahead.
But one thing I wanted to add too is that when we have our conversation, my clients typically leave. Even if I'm not able to get them funded, they leave with a plethora of information that they can take with them to start taking steps towards repairing their credit. I
Yep.
like to give people resources in order to tell them like next steps. Like you're not going to leave the call empty-handed. You're not going to leave the call feeling like, oh, I couldn't get funded, and so now I don't know what to do. Now I'm back at the drawing board. No, you're going to walk away with at minimum a plan,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you're gonna walk away with some possibilities of like, all right, if I take these next steps, 6 months to maybe a year from now, I can get myself funded. I got a lead that actually just reached out to me. I think I spoke with them maybe 6 months ago. Talked to them how to like fix up their personal credit, how to get some limit increases on their personal credit profiles, and get those credit card limit increases up so that they can qualify for funding a little bit later. They just reached out to me yesterday. So, this stuff goes full circle. Like I give people real tangible information that they can use and go and fix their personal credit profiles or enhance their personal credit profiles to get them just a little bit closer to their goal.
I love it, man. And it's all about having those bite-sized steps so that way they can chunk it down and make it something that's achievable. Because there's a lot of people out there walking around that think that it's impossible to use the bank's money or other people's money in order to fund their business. And that's a myth. I don't know who lied to you, but that's a myth. I personally have increased my profile, increased my credit score, gotten business funding. So it ain't like it's something like there's two people telling you here it's possible. All right. So
Right.
if you just walking out there, you just want to believe it ain't possible, then you just shooting yourself in the foot at this point. And I don't know why you would do that, but
Discipline though. It takes discipline, man. And so at
it
the end of the
does.
day, that's what's required. And some people aren't ready to have that conversation with themselves. You get what I'm saying? Like that's the real thing
Definitely.
because like when you're ready to let go of that consumer debt, when those little makeup company cards and those JC Penney's cards or Macy's, damn, I'm probably aging myself talking about JC Penney's or Wanamaker.
I'm sitting here thinking like I remember all of those.
Like, but you know what I mean with Sephora, right? Like that's where a lot of women go to spend money and stuff like that. But they get you, right? Like they get you,
Yep.
man. And like, I've
Target
I've
for
talked to
sure. Every
family
time you check
members,
out.
but that's how people get swallowed up into those credit debt holes is with those consumer credit cards. You know, like if
Like
you have
Target for sure. And the thing about it is like you need to meet with Tavon just to be educated on it. Cause like you'll go to Target, you might have $175 you about to check out with. As soon as you hit that little portal panel, we done all been there. You walk up to the
yeah,
little portal, you just click OK, and then they be like, oh, you can actually save 15% off on this
facts.
$175 if you just get this Target credit card today. It's called a red card. It's called a red card. You get your red card today, you're going to save 15% today and 15% for the rest of your life as long as you're a red card holder. And you'd be like, what? 15%? Okay, let me go ahead and get that. Not understanding on the back end, they probably got a 30% interest rate on that
All
$175 that you
about it.
just did, which means that
Now it's
a
more.
long time ago, I learned that interest is the cost of money. So if it costs 30%, you're paying that 175 plus that 30% of whatever that 175 is. You could go get so when he comes out here and says you could start your business with a 0% interest card, that means that the cost of money is zero, which is rare. You see what I'm saying? So if you go get a bank account like a savings account, you're gonna have a 2%, less than 2% return on your investment. If you get a consumer card, those are typically ran for 23% to 40%. interest on those consumer credit cards. As a matter of fact, as I'm talking about this, I need to start me a consumer credit card. That's the conversation I need to have. How can I start me a consumer credit card? Because they probably make so much money off of that and gift cards alone. They can lose money on how much AC they pumping through Target or any other consumer spot. But all that being said, it's about education. It's about being informed. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
So, how can the people reach out to you? How can they find you, Tavon, and see what their options are as far as business financing?
Awesome. So I mean, I'm on social media, Tavon the More on Instagram. You can reach me through email, Tavon at diggsconsultinggroup.org. Okay, I have a website, diggsconsultinggroup.org, that you can go visit and you can submit a request to schedule an appointment. But I'm around Tavon Diggs on Facebook. You can send me a personal message. I take personal messages. I don't have any bots in my messages, so I will answer you personally, and we can schedule an appointment. Okay, and I'll be happy to talk to you for free, and just see what you got going on and see what options that you have and see if I can help you.
I love it, man. Well, there you have it, people. There's been another business spotlight presented by TNT Superior Marketing. And guess what? We're going to have another one here pretty soon. So that'd be lovely. And hope y'all got some knowledge from this. Drop some comments in the comment box on whatever your main takeaway was. If you just got one gem, it was worth it. Drop it in the comments so somebody else can see. Like it, share it with somebody else who has a myth. Maybe they walking around thinking, maybe they told you, man, that's impossible to get business funding. Share this live with them. Share this video with them so that they can at least have hope and at least know that it's possible, right? So there you have it. We'll see y'all. God bless.